to Mompreneurs, where we celebrate and learn from fabulous Black women who are out here killing it as moms-in-chief, running both their households and their businesses. I'm your host, Nancy Red, and I come from a lovely lineage of Black mompreneurs in Southern Virginia. I'm thrilled to present this intimate interview series that really highlights inspiring and educational stories about how women are creating incredible opportunities and generational wealth for their families. But money isn't all this series is about. Balancing motherhood, mental health, and happiness is really important too. From book empires to bonnet-wearing dolls to building franchises, these powerhouses are redefining what it means to be a working mama, while inspiring a new generation of mothers to do it for themselves. Mompreneur Monyetta Shaw puts her family first in everything she does. Now, you see this Louisiana beauty on TV all the time, but she's got so much more going on with her business, Evan Grace Group, that we can't wait to get into. Publishing, fashion, entertainment, events, and importantly, philanthropy. Philanthropy! I said it right that time.
Yes, you did.
Thank you so much for being with us, Monyetta, because it's not about perfection, it's about doing what you know is right for your family and your community.
And that's it. Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I'm having a great time already.
I know, we've been having too much fun behind the scenes.
Seriously.
Now it's time to get to the nitty-gritty.
Let's do
because
this.
we have a lot to talk about, because you have really done a lot with your business in these last 10 years, because your daughter now is 11 years old.
Listen, I tell my kids all the time, like, you guys are so blessed. And they get that they are too, as well. Because I was like making up musicals, routines, songs, dance moves. Like, since I was so little, my cousins would come in town and we would go in our garage, my neighbor's garage, and like literally make up a stage, and I would have everybody in 5, 6, 7, 8, like literally, right? I'm like, I wish there was like a school of, I know, all the routines, a school of like performing arts there where I'm from, and it wasn't in Shreveport, Louisiana. And so I'm like, you guys, y'all have it so good, and they're like, it's in them, and they are so excited about learning everything and just being out there. But I'm like, girl, I would have been like the Mickey Mouse Club. What was it? Well, I'm telling my age. I'm telling my age.
Listen, Justin could have been up there doing it. But that's the thing. And access is the name of the game. And when you have a modicum of access, which is what you have, and you've been fortunate to have, not utilizing it is a waste of blessing and a waste of opportunity.
Like, I couldn't have said it better. Like, absolutely a waste of it. This amazing opportunity, amazing blessing that we have. So we have to utilize it. Like I said, I didn't have this growing up, you know. I kept it moving and, you know, stayed active and, you know, taught myself. And of course, when I got the age, when I got into dance class and all this stuff, like, it was just like, I knew the sky was the limit. I knew I had to get out of there. No shame, but, you know, growing up in the time that I did, it wasn't the opportunity there. And so I'm just like, okay, I have so many dreams. I have so many things that I want to do. And it's funny because I got my radio start in Shreveport, Louisiana, which I fell in love with the entertainment world at an early age, and it was just awesome. So to see the kids, like, just their eyes lighting up, and like when they're seeing their mom and chief do her thing, it's just, you know, and it makes me proud too. I'm like, yeah, you guys, you see me, and you can do it too. So it's just so inspiring. I love it.
And so a lot of our people will have similar talents and passions, right?
Yeah.
And they just need the information, because if you don't grow up seeing it, you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
In Louisiana, were there entrepreneurs in your family, or are you kind of one of the first entrepreneurs in your family?
Well, my aunt, she lives in California, and she's had a boutique for going on 40-something years now. And it's funny because, you know, later on, I opened up my boutique. So it's just like, so I saw it, and I knew it was achievable. But for the most part, my father and my mother, they, you know, worked awesome jobs, 9-to-5 jobs. And so, you know, I had both parts of it. So, yeah.
That's so interesting, because such a theme with the interviews we're having is there's generally someone outside of your normal sphere, but within your circle.
Exactly.
Doing something,
that you see,
pulling you on up, right? So I find it very interesting that your aunt owned a boutique in California.
Yes.
Now, as a kid, had you been to the California boutique?
No.
So you heard about
Not
this
at all.
magical
Yes.
California, because that's what it is. Because kids don't understand, before FaceTime or
Girl,
stuff,
listen.
you didn't know what other people were doing. You just heard.
No idea.
My aunt has a boutique in
That's
California.
it. Ooh, sounds good. I want to go one day. Yeah, for sure. And I just knew, like, of course, like, you got to go to college. You got to go, like, all that stuff. My uncle was a geologist, so, like, huge. And I knew, you know, all the stories I would literally, like, at church give the Black History Report on my uncle, as well as the Martin Luther King Jr. It's like amazing, impactful people. But just to have that in my family and to be able to, talk about him as well. He was one of the first African Americans, not first, but he went to Princeton University, like huge stuff. And I'm just like, oh wow, So it's you see it, you can achieve it. It's just good. Yeah. And I just knew that I was super active, all throughout, growing up and high school, just president of the student body, 4-H. Queen, I'm like pageants, like I just knew that I always was doing something, and I'm just like, okay, this is good, and being a mother is the most amazing thing, the best job ever, I like to say, and I still say it to this day, because it is, but I'm like, I knew I had my dreams that I didn't fulfill, didn't finish, so I'm like, okay, time to get to it, girl, like understand the swollen feet, like all that good stuff.
Well, talk about that. What dreams? Because many people would not think that you had unfulfilled dreams. They would think, look, you met this great guy, he fell in love with this whirlwind romance.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Some unfulfilled
girl,
dreams?
listen,
what were your dreams that weren't filled?
Okay, I'm gonna break it down to you. But you, as a woman or anyone who's in a relationship with someone who's on the go and this big, celebrity, superstar, you take a back seat and you sometimes lose yourself. And that's kind of what happened. But I love that in the midst of everything, like Maddie was so young. And I'm like, okay, I have these goals, unfulfilled goals that I must start on. Like I have to. And so I started my company, the Evan Grace Group. And actually before that, I wrote a children's book. I knew like I wanted to leave a legacy for them, like something that was from mom to let, at that time it was only one. It was Madeline. Mason didn't come yet. And just let her know like how beautiful she is, how loved she is. And I created the first children's book, which is called The Adventures of Maddie. And it focused on her hair. Like she has this amazing natural hair that I do too under all of this.
Which is another great thing for moms. You can own a business from your couch.
Yes, you can. How beautiful is that?
Because a lot of what you do, how much would you say that you do from home?
Oh, wow. My home office is, oh my gosh, like I'm there like working 85% of the time, like everything at home. Like shipping the books out now, like shipping everything from there. I closed in February on my house, so now I can really have it, because for so long I was just like, oh, okay, well, we're in the condo, can't really have to do so much and run here and run there. But now to be able to have my office back, girl, you see my face lighting up. It's insane, I'm so excited about it, and I'm able to store all the books and like all my merchandise
you store
there.
the books at home.
Girl, listen, yes.
That's
so I'm in the transition.
Storage,
yeah.
That's the thing with these products. You gotta have some place to store. And the mompreneurs will say, like, I store it in my garage, in my car,
girl, look,
under my bed.
It's everywhere. So I'm like, okay, we're working up to a building. You gotta have those goals, and I'm like, I'm gonna hit those goals for right now. It hasn't outgrown the house yet, but yes, we're working on it.
And when you look back to the little girl who was in Shreveport creating all these things, did you ever think that you would be an entrepreneur? Did you just think you'd just have a job?
Honestly, I just knew that it was bigger for me. I just had this feeling. It's funny because I feel like it was my freshman year in high school, and I had the big desktop when you hear to go into AOL for the internet. I was writing a book. Like, what are the odds? I thought about that the other night. I'm like, wow, just little me telling about the life that I've lived so far, because honestly,
where is this book?
Girl, I don't know, I gotta find it. It's coming.
Somebody's basement.
Somebody
so
has
sweet.
it. But yes, even like I'm the youngest child, but I'm still like the oldest because I take care of everything. I'm so responsible. And even back then, like I would help my cousins get through things. I'm a psychology major. And I'm like, some of you might just thought like, okay, I had this much intellect. Let me just put it into a book and talk about it. But it's funny, but it's crazy how, life really turned out, But yeah, I remember that.
That's very interesting. And again, a lot of people have these similar situations. Like they were doing all these things. What advice do you have for someone who, one thing that you were fortunate to be in a position to not lose yourself. Like you felt the loss coming on, and you nipped it in the bud by staying active. It was kind of it's kind of like keeping your body. If you notice 5 pounds, that's when you can reel it back quickly. But if you get to 50, it gets harder.
Girl,
like you noticed
I've
in the
been
first
there
5
on both
pounds.
sides, though. Not quite the 50, but listen.
Girl, oh my
Girl.
gosh, I could talk about that.
Ooh.
But you basically reeled in the loss of self before it happened. And it can happen to anybody.
Oh, and it does. I mean, if we're all being honest with ourselves. I went through a very visible breakup. It was public. And like through that, and my parents, my mother, God rest her soul, she passed recently. And in February, my mom and dad would have been married for 50 years. So, that's all I know. That's all I knew. And so when we didn't work out with my children's father, it was like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like all I saw, and I was fortunate enough to have like a lot of my friends whose parents were still together. So I'm just like, I know it's possible, that, single parents home, like they work and they thrive. And so once I got it together and I realized, and, after I did lose myself for a little bit, but like I made it look good though. I was faking it till I made it,
Once again, that's the thing. You faking it till you make it does not always have to be a negative connotation.
Oh, not at all.
Especially
I
when
don't
you
take
have
it that
kids.
way.
That's the thing. My mom has been very sick recently, and I had to stop breaking down in front of the kids. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
There's a thin line between them seeing struggle and them being scarred by the struggle.
That's true.
And you
That's
have to get it together and put your big girl panties on.
That's true. I did not have the liberty of breaking, but it's good for your children to see that you are human, and then how to shake back. So I'm glad that they were able to see all of those things as well. But for the most part, they saw a strong, determined mother, and I see it in them now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing that during my, some of my hardest times that I was there getting it done and didn't ever like just woe is me or fall down on the floor while they were up. Now I've done it, went into my prayer closet, cried, talked to my dad, got a little prayer warrior groups to get through that thing.
I have found my car to be an excellent insulated place. Nobody can hear what you're doing in the car.
Come on now. Yes.
Wait, what's really great is throughout all this, when you have this business,
yes,
so you have to it gives you something to get together. It's kind of like when you're sad and someone says, get a dog, because you have to walk it. Like,
right. You got to do something. You got to get out. That's true.
Business.
Yes, you stay busy. And it keeps you focused. And even on the days you don't want to, you're like, okay, you don't want it to go down. You don't want it to, you gotta work. And anything that you want to be successful, you have to work at it. And you're learning every day. I learned so much, even in, I feel like some of my losses, like you learn and you move on and you come back bigger and better. And so that's definitely my story. And a lot about businesses. So I love that. And it's just beauty in it all. It really is. I would say that honestly, the lackluster, and it's funny, we started with the boutique. I did not, because I was a buyer before as well. Before I owned my boutique. I was a buyer.
Was that your last quote unquote day job?
Yes.
And so by day job, it's so funny because it's always fun to hear what people's day jobs were. By day jobs, the last time you received a check for doing something that made someone else more money.
You put that together so perfectly. Yes, it's essentially what it is. Yes, it was a buyer. Yes, I was a buyer for several boutiques.
Oh, how fun!
Yes, and
you were a professional shopper.
Basically, hello.
Which is really fun. But then you had to figure out, it's not as easy when you're trying to sell the stuff that I bought.
Girl, listen. Yes, you get really creative.
How so?
I had a lot of sales and would do sip-in shops, all these wonderful things to get the merchandise out and bring in the new stuff. It was just really good. And honestly, I made so many friends. Some of my clients are some of my best friends even till this day. It's just good with relationships and just, so I was very sad about closing it down, but I knew that I would revisit it.
It was fun for friends and relationship, but not necessarily financial ROI.
Hello now. So at that point, and we were going through the separation with the kid's father at that time, and we owned it together. So it was the right thing to do at that time, and still it was one of my babies, so to see that have to go, but I just always put it on the back burner because I knew I would revisit it.
And when you revisit it now, there's so many ways that you've learned to cut out a lot of the dead wood and the overhead.
100%.
Because keeping that retail shop, that's like a third step now. It used to be the first step. It used to be, it's interesting how success has changed. Would you say? Because when we were growing up, if you had the actual shop,
Oh, yeah.
It didn't mean anything. It didn't mean on the internet. What is
that?
It was an eBay store.
No, you can go to there physically. Yeah, exactly. Yes,
right?
And now
it's like,
do you really need that? Does it make sense on paper? Yes, 100%. And I'm like, okay, you get creative. I'm like, okay, do I need a whole staff of 10? And do I need it in this building in Buckhead? Because, the rent, about where you are, all that matters. And so I learned a lot of valuable lessons. So for sure, that would be that. my mom or dad told me this, like, always treat the janitor just the same way you treat the CEO. And there's something that just stuck with me, and I always do. And people love that. They love that, you're personal and it doesn't matter. You're like always kind and treat everyone the same.
You're
and
a good
I've always
Southern
been
girl
like that.
with
There you
grassroots
go.
support.
Hello.
You come from the same stock, sissy, and you better get that look
Hello.
off your face.
There you go.
No,
That's good.
100%. That's a good mom.
No, for sure. And that helped. And I didn't know that I could actually parlay that into a business as well. A lot of my friends, they have these awesome jobs. They travel the world. They can sing, or they might, can throw a football. And a lot of people want to see them, even if it's a walkthrough, even if it's just showing up. And I'm able to connect the dots. And so that's one of the umbrellas in the Evan Grace group that I don't really advertise about. So yeah,
what is the official title? Because you're just like, I connect the dots with my friends to brands.
Listen,
what do you officially call yourself?
The consultant.
Oh,
the
consultant.
Because it could be like I would book someone overseas for a dignitary's birthday party or
so how
a
does this happen?
concert.
So someone's calling you your Monyetta dignitary birthday party.
Right. It
We're
just
looking
happens.
for. You got a friend
You
who
get
can
this
sing.
friend.
Really?
They typically have a list. They have a list of who they would want, like their, I'm like, okay, well, how much? What's the budget? That's the second question. Okay, like realistically, do you think Rihanna's coming here for that? No, I don't think so. No. So it just kind of happened because I'm the person, I feel like, there's enough money for everyone, and I connect the dots, and like, that's just who I am. And it started off like, I would honestly like, okay, can you give me this person's number? I'm like, okay, well, I've been doing this, and y'all did this deal without me. I'm like, hold on, that's the business,
Brilliant. I also want to say kudos, because that's another problem I think a lot of mothers have is the things we do for free, we don't realize that is a very valuable service.
Yes.
And I'm proud of you because it's really hard to know your worth and to ask for it.
Yes.
Especially with friends.
Of course, it gets
you're
tricky.
trying to look, because your struggle is I'm staying classy and calm.
Hey, that's it.
They were doing it.
Woosah.
And when money gets involved, it is often very difficult to be classy or calm.
Yes, it is. Oh, and my coins.
So here you
Or my
are.
bread.
You're seeing these deals. How do you have the strength and the courage to request your piece of this connection pie?
I learned, that's a valuable lesson that I learned because a lot of it went, left. And I learned to just have it up front, contracts. Of course, a couple of those, like, okay, word of mouth, handshake, but no, just have it on paper. Make sure you have your email chain. It will save your life in business 100%. You have to.
Because a lot
you
of
have to
times
stay
we're
professional.
scared. We
Of
don't
course.
want to seem too official.
Yes.
But that's the whole point. You are official.
Yes.
You think, and also, you would not, if you had something with your child, you wouldn't trust it to a handshake or, or like a
Not
head
at
nod.
all.
If there's something that was important, like a child's scholarship or like
Yes.
a school admission,
For
you'd
sure.
be like, oh, they're just in the school. Come on
Yeah,
through.
that's it. Come on. No. It doesn't work like that. So, and I learned that from a mentor of mine. She's like, girl, do you know, like, this. And I'm like, okay. So it took someone on the outside looking in to see, and like, do you know you did that? Do you know that's because of you? And I'm like, yeah, but, that's just who I am. That's nice. Like, okay, girl, too nice. You're being too nice. So, and I'm like, oh, okay, I do get it. And so, you have to, just make them respect you sometimes.
You've recently started getting into events.
Yes.
So
Oh my
and all of
gosh.
it's tied in, because what's interesting is your talent, I would argue, is that people really like to fool with you. So you're like, okay, what are some different ways people can fool with me? Like,
Let's call Monyetta. What you got going on today, right?
right? So you're like, girl, I got these events.
Right. No, for sure.
So at what point did you have the idea to start the events? Because this is another relatively new aspect of your business.
Yes, so I'm not an event planner for sure.
No,
there are some amazing ones out there, and I could not do what they do. It's amazing.
You hire the event planners. You are a contributor to the event planner scene.
There you go. For sure, they love me. But with that, I didn't mention with my children's books, I also have books about me, and then I mentioned the breakup, and it started from journaling, and so I turned those into books because after I was on Atlanta Exes, which is a reality show that I did, so many people commented, emailed me like, oh my God, you're amazing because of you and how you, because a lot of people, especially celebrities, like it turns into this war over the kids, and they're not realizing that they are hurting the most important things, the kids. Get over your ego and do what's best for the children. And so I kind of turned that into my book series, and I started with Bigger Than Me, and it just basically, because of that, when they were emailing me and DMing me saying, because of you, I'm able to let my children's father, who some didn't let them see the kid's father for like 6 years. I remember one particular family. I'm like, oh my gosh. And because of watching little old me, I like to say, they didn't let the kids have a relationship with their father again. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I knew that if I was impacting at least one person, it wasn't in vain. Anything that I went through was not in vain. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, time to get the book out. Time to start, being intentional about everything. Like my pain was not in vain, and it wasn't. And I just went forward with that, and
I think My Pain Is Not in Vain is a third book.
That's it.
But I think it's important because another aspect of being a mompreneur, because we are givers, right?
Oh,
so
for sure.
I think, would you argue that you feel less weird about taking money or doing these products because of what you do to give back, right? Like you're
100%.
providing information and you're
Yeah.
providing support and inspiration for people who don't have people that look like us or who they can relate to.
There you go.
What you're going through. People go through messy baby mama drama, baby daddy
yes.
drama all the time.
All the time.
And to have a role model who's dealing with it in a not
Yeah.
negative way.
Yeah, in a classy way. That's where my Keep It Classy
Keep It Classy.
co-parenting strategies for unstoppable moms and devoted dads came
Available
from.
at Amazon.com.
Hello, at MonyetteShaw.com. Let's go. Get you one. If you're not co-parenting, I promise you know someone who is. Who, you got to have the right people, because so many people can say, oh, yeah, I can deliver this, I can do this, I can do this, and cannot do squat, diddly squat.
And it's often,
So-
I was just talking about, there was our fantastic team who has done an amazing job. John, everybody, has done
Yes.
an amazing job here. It's often the loud ones
Come on now.
that
Loud and wrong, I like to say.
Loud and wrong,
Baby,
is
you
that what you
loud
say?
and wrong
They're
all
loud
the
and
time.
wrong?
Yes, I do. They are loud and wrong. Yes. Yes. Yes.
talked
But,
about
oh my
how
gosh.
because you clearly had learned from, everyone makes mistakes
Of
with their
course.
team.
Of course. Yeah.
Talk about because a team is at different places. It's your friends, then it's your business partners, then
Yeah.
it's people who you don't know who you bring in as consultants,
course, for
and
sure.
things like that.
Hello.
How did you learn to figure out who is a good member of your team and who's not? Who's just blowing smoke and who is the real deal? Because it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's often 4 layers deep.
Oh, of course. It's definitely 4 layers deep. Trial and error, honestly. Trial and error. And I like to say I thank God for the gift of discernment. Even though a few have gotten, weaseled their way through, but discernment, I have I'm big on energy, energy and like how I feel and how other people treat others. Like all that matters. You can't be rude and treating people like nothing and even be around me. Like it's not gonna mix. I'll be polite and nice, but you're not gonna be in my space, in my circle, or working for my company. So I go off of all those things. Like they say, protect your vibe, protect it. Protect the vibe, protect the energy, protect your space. Like your life depends on it, because it does. It absolutely does.
Especially your business life.
For sure. And, like your team, sometimes like before you meet the team first, and they can squash a lot of your deals if they're nasty, if they're rude, if they, just acting like, and I've had that happen before, and I'm just like,
Isn't
oh,
that
I wasn't
awful?
aware.
Isn't that one of the, it's so weird because our children are going to be so protected because we know so much, right?
Oh, yeah, for
But
sure.
we're coming out here from the South, like, I'm just excited to be in
Hey,
these
y'all.
streets.
No.
Right. And you don't realize, and someone's like glomming on. And I think one of the things people don't realize is you can be the best, but if someone who's a buyer does not like someone on your team, they don't care.
Oh,
you
no.
are gone.
Yeah, you're
Like,
gone.
and you don't know this, and so you have to preemptively, secretly, just discreetly
Yes.
say, hey, what do you think about this person? Because
For
I don't want to mess
sure.
up any things we could be
Yeah.
having going on. It's like a whole game. It's
Exactly.
like, did you watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, I didn't,
like
but I heard it was
Varys.
amazing. But I know all this. Yeah.
It's like the Whisperer.
Oh,
like
wow.
going around
Right.
trying to
Okay.
find out who likes who.
Oh,
It's
wow,
a chess
yeah.
game.
It is. It really is. And it's super, super important. So, yeah, I would say trial and error. I have my team, but I need, as you expand, as you grow, you need more people. You need more jobs, more employees, like you do. And I'm at that point. It's nerve-wracking, but great at the same time.
But with growth, you also have to. We were talking about it before. It's kind of like I grew a lot of hair in the pandemic. It was very exciting,
Listen.
and I had like another couple of inches,
Clipping
and I
those
wanted to keep it
squinties,
because this
honey.
was very exciting.
Yeah,
I was
like,
like,
oh
I
my
got
gosh,
past
it's
boob
long.
hair. Like I want to keep
I wanna
this.
cover the boobs.
And my stylist said, if you don't cut it, it won't
It
grow.
won't grow.
And so right now you're in a growth
That's a
and a
word.
cutting phase.
Yes,
which
for
is
sure.
difficult because you need more staff, but you're in the
Yeah.
process of cutting out the weeds so the garden can flourish.
Can flourish, yes.
That's
and you have
hard,
to. It's
especially
very
for
hard,
someone
but-
who does not like
I know,
to be.
I know. I don't like to be the mean person, but hey, I'm a businesswoman, and so they'll have to understand, like, it's business. Like, it's all love. Appreciate you, thank you for everything, but it's not a good fit at the moment. Not to say that we can't come back and work. I have that situation too. A great friend of mine, and we're coming back on some more things on the back end. It's just about where you are in timing and time, place, and opportunities.
The parts that the roots are embedded in is the fact that their generation, in your family, is growing up with financial freedom, generational
Yeah,
wealth, something that, can you imagine, like your grandmother?
Yes.
There's such a different perspective. When we look at
is.
the generations in your family, what do you think about how far you've come and how you're such an active part in ensuring that there's still the same ethic value in the value system,
Absolutely.
but with a different perspective on who the person can be?
Yes, it makes me so proud. It makes me so proud, and I know that my grandmother, the one that passed, is looking down so very proud, and now my mother's looking down so proud. And the one that's here, that's 90, hey, Emerlyn, she's amazingly proud, and just to be that, and just to see, like, I've heard stories of my granny, like, picking cotton or working for the Reynolds, the family that was right up the road, a white family, and she made their beds, and when she was teaching me how to correctly do it, she just took such pride in it. And, now I can take that pride and, own these businesses and just be the example and just provide and create that generational wealth. It means everything to me. And just the kids, and of course they know they have to work for it as well, but then they have these, trust funds and all this in college, all these like it's there, and it's a blessing. And I know they're going to be responsible enough to keep it going, and to spread the love, and like how they are when they come to my let's say toy fundraisers and give backs, and they are there like just running to do it and running to help people. Even like we have this thing where we it might be cheesy, but my husband and I do it, and it's so funny when I found out that he does it too. Just give like tips everywhere. We were at the gas station, and I got change back because all the time I have like a card, but today I had some cash. I'm like, yeah, and so I was paying for something that my son wanted, and he's like, "Are you gonna tip him?" He's all loud. I was like, "Shh, you're fine," and I'm just like, you know what? You do it today, buddy. And then I was like, he had like $7. I'm like, okay. I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, is he gonna take the $2 or the $5? And he just took out the $5 and gave it to him and said, "God bless." And like seeing that and seeing him do that because of the example that we do every day, just not thinking of it and just giving back and spreading that love. Like, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. And just watching us and be that example, and just, it's a lovely thing. And I'm super proud. I really, really am. And to see the glimpse of that goodness in my little ones, it's just like lets me know it's all worth it, and we're doing a great job.
So anyone listening or watching, you are just one generation
Yes.
from changing the game, and you don't know how that will happen,
Yes.
and you don't know why. But what is your advice for keeping the faith? Because if Emmeline can keep the faith, anything is possible.
Yes, for sure. Just keep going. That's it. So many obstacles come in life, so many storms come in life, whether it's in your family, grief, like on a job, in business, your failures, whatever it might be, keep going. Because if you give up, you won't see the end result. Keep going, keep the faith. Yes, and just look at the bright side of it all, because even though every storm comes, the sun will shine again. That's for sure, and it's for certain. It might look different, but as long as you're here, still showing up, you have another day to try again. So keep going.
Monyetta, you are such a mompreneur that we can all just look to as inspiration. Thank you for dropping all these gems, for reminding us that wherever you are in the journey, it's possible, it's doable. There are steps you can take. You will have setbacks. Stay grounded, stay aware of what's happening, and just keep giving parts of yourself, because you are so unique. Everyone's so unique, and we all have gifts to share. So
Yes,
thank
we
you
do.
for sharing yours.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. You guys are amazing.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.
This
And
is
of course,
perfect.
if you want to get her books, her products, whatever she's got going on, check out her amazing events, MonyettaShaw.com. When are you changing that to Monyetta Shaw Carter?
Listen, it's the brand, girl. So it's the brand.
The
So
brand
it's gonna be Monyetta
stands?
Shaw, but I am Monyetta Shaw Carter. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. That's your keeping it hid name. Your personal name.
Just keep a little bit of self.
But
No,
MonyettaShaw.com is where people get all kinds of information. And of course, you're all over the internet. So thank you for being here with us today in Atlanta, talking about mompreneurship.
Thanks for having me. It's been perfect. You're amazing.
You're amazing.
You're stuck with me.